Tatsi, Kahkeoktatamskat Nawao, Gawitsbimhamutis Gwanitsikasun. My name is Josephine Small. I greet all of you. It is Orange Shirt Day, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. What I want to bring, the message I want to get across this year is the kids that never came home. As you're watching the videos, you're going to see that there's an empty chair sitting here beside me, and that's to symbolize, to remember the kids that never came home. So we put an empty chair here. There were so many kids that never came home. My uncle, Dr. Wilton Lowchild, did that at the summer games, Elder Games. He had them leave 2 empty lanes open for kids that never got to swim, for kids that never got to live, they never got to be ancestors. They could have been somebody's ancestor, but they never got that chance. So we are remembering them in this way, with the empty chair, that they can come and join us. I did that when the Pope came. I put an empty chair for the ancestors, so the ancestors could come and sit with me and say the words that needed to be said, because a lot of these words are not our words. They're the words of our ancestors. So please remember that there were children that never came home. Hi. It's really fitting I'm in a library, because I never had a book in my house. Growing up, never had books, never had story. I had a lot of oral stories from my grandmothers, from my grandfathers, from my mom, from my dad, aunts, uncles. Those are the kind of stories that I remember. If you ask me to remember my favorite story from childhood, I would not have one, because we never had one. I never had anybody read to me at night. And because of that, I didn't do that a lot for my kids, even my grandkids. And, but they're not devoid of story. They're not missing any stories just because it's not coming from a book. We never had books. So those are stories that are really important to me, is the stories of who they are, where they came from, stories that are going to get them through things, stories that are going to carry them on life, stories about ceremonies, stories about power, stories about their own families, stories that you're never going to see about us in a book. So those are the kind of stories that are really, really important to me, is the oral stories. And my grandkids sometimes, how come we heard that story already? Right? So sometimes I repeat the stories because maybe I think they're really important to be told. So those are the kind of stories that I like to hear from elders, from whoever. Everybody has a story. You have a story. Everybody has stories. So those are the kind of stories that are important. It may not come from a book, but it's still a story, and it's still important. Hi.